This day, man. This fucking day. You had one job, day. One job. Don't be fuck. Well, you were fuck. So now the review is going to be delayed about 2 days because I have work and I don't know when I'm going to get to film it, but I'll figure out something. Point is, I wanted to get a video out talking about something kind of like what we did with Tsukishima's powers a few weeks back, kind of just to whet your appetites, get some of that Tekking101 you need in your weekly diet of video watching. Alright, so, in the recent chapter of Bleach 683, we got the answer to a question that many of us have been curious about ever since Ichigo fought against Aizen and the day aside and right before the time skip started. And it was, does Aizen still have his Zanpakto Katen Kyokatsu? That is not Aizen's Zanpakto, Matt. That is Shunsui's. Fuck! Kyōka Suigetsu. There we go. And, yeah, so at the end of the fight with Aizen, Ichigo cuts him in half. He falls to the ground. The Hogyoku patches him back up. He gets up, and something weird happens to Kyōka Suigetsu. His sword begins to crumble in his hand. Now, remember, at that point in Aizen's evolution, the sword had basically become, like, permanently bonded to his fist, and very similar to the way Ichigo's was. And Aizen was holding it out, and the blade was beginning to chip away, and he took that to mean that it was because that the Hogyoku deemed that his evolution, he no longer needed a Zanpakto, because he was about to reach further heights. If a normal Shinigami is 2-dimensional, and then Aizen goes to God level and he's 3-dimensional, Ichigo bests him, he's 4-dimensional, Aizen notices, oh man, but you still all need Zanpaktos. Hogyoku thinks I don't even need one anymore, so I'm going to the 5th dimension, motherfucker! 5Ds! Yeah! Card games on motorcycles, bitches! But no, he gets sealed before we get to actually find out what happened. A lot of people, and me included back then, just assumed, oh, because Uehara hyposited, like, oh, well, the Hogyoku must be rejecting you. That's why your Zanpakto is disappearing. Not because you're evolving, but because the Hogyoku no longer recognizes you as its master, and because Uehara's, well, Uehara, we just kind of assumed, like, oh, okay, all that shit about him evolving, that's nothing. His Zanpakto is breaking apart and disappearing. And yeah, so immediately after this, though, he gets sealed, and the fate of Kyōka Suigetsu, as well as the fate of the Hogyoku in general, is left ambiguous. The next time we see him, he's bound up with the Ryatsu, restraints. He's being sentenced by Central 46, and then ever since we've seen him since then, getting out of the chair and shit, we haven't seen. Obviously, they're not going to store the freaking sword with him. Yeah, and we haven't seen if he still has the Hogyoku still embedded in him. We don't know the answers to these questions. Well, in the most recent chapter, we found out that he still, in fact, does have Kyōka Suigetsu. We don't know where it came from. We don't know if he's able to just summon it, because what we find out about Zanpaktos in this final arc is that they're not supposed to be meant as, like, separate entities from the Shinigami. They are literally another, like, a version of your own soul. Like, you get a blank Asauchi, pour your own soul into it, and it's like, I don't want to say a clone, because it's not, like, 100% the same, but the raw material that the Zanpakto spirit is made of is your own Ryatsu, so it's going to have some resemblance to you, either, overtly, or just, maybe it's more like a subtle thing, but it's made from your spirit, so it is technically part of you. And that's the whole deal with, like, if your Zanpakto disappears when you die, and shit like that. So, I would assume by that logic, if it really is part of him, then Aizen would just be able to summon it whenever he wanted. Another theory is maybe that he was talking about the Hogyoku evolving him. He wasn't wrong. Uehara was wrong. Because we've seen, Shunsui even mentioned, Aizen somehow got stronger while in Muken. Let me get this straight. He was bound to a fucking chair, which, keep in mind, was a kick-ass chair, got bound to a chair with Ryatsu restraining cloth for 17 months. He couldn't move a fucking finger, couldn't even open his fucking eye. He was stabbed to a fucking pillar while, you know, he couldn't move. And he somehow got stronger in those conditions. So it is my understanding that the Hogyoku is still embedded in Aizen. It is probably responsible. I mean, he can't die, so something has to be keeping him immortal, you know? The Hogyoku is still bound to him. That's why he's immortal, and he was not wrong necessarily when the Zanpakto bound, you know, like maybe it meant a higher evolutionary plane. Maybe the Zanpakto didn't disappear completely, but it just became like part of his body, so he can just like summon it whenever he wants. That's the only explanation I got, because there's no fucking way. Like, yeah, Aizen, we're gonna bind you up in Muken. By the way, we're just gonna keep this sword next to you, just in case you want to use that to hypnotize the guards or whatever. It's cool. You know, so yeah. So he has Kyōka Suigetsu, it's back, which is a good thing that we're seeing this now, because I think what Kubo might be doing now is like, well, I don't have enough time to explain to you where it came from, what's the whole shit with the Hogyoku. I don't have time to explain that, because I have to get this shit going. But I'm just going to throw it out there that, yes, he still has Kyōka Suigetsu, so the possibility is quite strong that we may get to see Aizen Bankai. Oh, yeah. I made a video about that. Info card right here. Bitches, go check that out. Yeah, so Aizen Bankai, I think Kubo would not end the series without revealing that one, because that is probably one of the biggest ones we've ever theorized, whether or not he even has one. I think we're going to find out either way. You know, if he does have a Bankai, we're going to see it. If he does not have a Bankai, we're going to get some confirmation that he does not. I personally don't see a reason why he would not have a Bankai. Many people are thinking, like, well, maybe he used his, you know, his hypnosis to make people think he had a Bankai, but because his Shikai is so overpowered, but that doesn't make any sense, because Nimaya basically said, you know, all Zanpaktos are basically the same when they're created with an Asauchi, with the exception being, you know, even, I don't know if even Ichigo would be really an exception with the final Getsuga, but yeah, all Zanpaktos are basically the same. They have, you know, a sealed form, you pour Ryatsu into it, there's Shikai, and there's Bankai. Even the Zanpaktos of the fucking Zero Squad operate the same way, so I can't see, and even Ichibei, who is the first Shinigami, has this crazy-ass power, still operates the same way. So, with that being said, and considering Aizen came out and said, like, I hit, like, like, all Shinigami are born with, like, natural limits, and I hit those limits years ago. Like, Ho-Ho, Hakuda, Kido, Zanjutsu, I've, like, mastered them all years ago, and now I'm trying to break down the wall into a new dimension. So, there's no doubt in my mind that he would have a Bankai. I go over all of this in the video, so you can check that out. I'm a little bit less pissed off there. Yeah. My god, my hair. Jeez. That's crazy. Alright, well, I just wanted to bring that up, that I just wanted to recap some stuff here that I think it makes sense why Aizen has his Zanpakto. We're probably going to see his Bankai coming up. He probably still has the Hogyoku, and even with the damage that Yuha laid on him in the last chapter, which I have to say, it's so serendipitous that Aizen lost an arm. I can't begin. That puts a smile on my face, just a little bit. You know, even with the day I've had, that still puts a smile on my face. You know, Aizen lost an arm, man. That shit's great. You know, all the people, you know, whatever. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to get going now. But thanks, you guys, for your support. Thanks for checking me out and everything. Oh, and you know what? I something else I wanted to mention. This doesn't have anything to do with me, but I want to congratulate a certain YouTuber. One of my favorite YouTubers. Like, if I was going to make a list of, like, the top 10 favorite YouTubers, this guy would definitely be on there. It's Matty Burrito, and he does some really fucking hilarious Pokemon animations. Go check out his channel. I'll put a link right here. His shit is absolute gold. And on top of that, it's also very good. So you should check it out. He just did 100K. The reason that I feel compelled to give him a shout-out is because I found out about him in February of this year, and I'm watching his animations, just laughing my ass off. I can't tell you how many videos I've edited with, you know, playing his stuff in the background. It's absolutely hilarious. And I'm like watching him, and I'm thinking this guy has to have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. This guy has to be fucking just swimming in subscribers. This shit is amazing. So I'm looking at his channel, and it's like back in January or February, he had less than I'd had back then. He had like 20,000 or something. Like, oh my god, that is criminal. That is criminal. This guy's going places. I'm like an old boxing promoter. Like, you're going places, kid. You're going places. And sure enough, here we are, less than, like 6 months later, and he already hit 100K. So go check him out. Great content from him. Okay, I'm going to get going now. But thanks for watching, guys. Tekking, signing out.